Hey everyone, this is Chris from a DSX Machina, and I'm going to be going through a basic playthrough of the prototype version of Brothers Bond. Now I want to stress this is a prototype, this is not a final. There's lots of stuff in it. It's still in the design phase. Even the arrangement of how the boards are made up may actually change. The maps will go through some alterations, but this gives us a general idea how the game's going to play. Now this first video we're going to be talking about setup. So first thing we'll see off the bat is the map. Now it's vertical right now. It may not be that way in the final, but this is kind of how he plays it. Make it kind of look like a hanging scroll. I kind of like that design. We have the support cards here and the story cards, camp, location, clear. We have the dice, both the enemy dice and the player dice. We have the universal tokens we hear. Stun, power, entangle, terrain, die assignment. We have a weak token, and then we have the crystal tokens. We have our player board. This is Sato, and then we have Yoshi. We're doing a setup for a two-player game. And we have the map cards when we go into a battle. We're kind of already in our mission. Like we placed the group meeple on the location determined by the mission. Now the mission is going to be in a comic book. We don't actually have the comic book printed, so this is an example of what I'm talking about. It'll be, you can pass it around the group, read it aloud, but it'll give you an introduction and tell you what your objectives are per mission, and sometimes give you choices that'll alter the way the game is actually played. Also in the prototype phase, we don't have any miniatures yet, so we just have standees representing the characters. The enemies will likely remain as standees, at least in the core game. So to begin the game, I haven't set up the specific one yet. We're just laying out the cards here. The board for players, however, can be set up basically right away. You have your deck of cards. You have your key and equipment cards, which are small. You have your specific arrangement of tokens and your character meeple and your board with your action tokens. Now I'm going to take a closer look and explain how that works. In this here we have Yoshi. And now Yoshi has his abilities. He has his basic board actions here, and he has his cards. Now the first thing we'll explain is how this thing works. We place, per the instruction, we put the equipment and key cards across the top. The drop deck for his maneuvers are to the left. When they're played left to right across here, and the discard pile is right there. These arrangements of their tokens, everyone gets the same. They get 5 of these light tokens indicated by this fist symbol. They get 3 heavy tokens indicated by this symbol here. And finally, they get 4 shield or guard tokens indicated by this symbol here. Everyone gets that exact same arrangement. When you gain a token, you move it to your board so you can use it, and it goes back to your supply once you use it. We do this to limit the number of tokens that you can actually use at any point in time. So you can't say get 15 of these tokens, you just simply don't have enough. So this is your supply. Every character gets them. These are your key cards. This is a finisher card, which we'll explain later, and this is an equipment card. There is a third type of card called a stance, which starting characters don't get, but they'll be able to acquire them later. Finally, we have the maneuver deck. Now, the maneuver deck everyone has the exact same number of cards, but their arrangement is slightly different. They're basic cards, although we had thought originally of making these different. We decided that these starting cards are basically the same. Everyone gets 2 attack 4s, 2 attack 3s, 2 bound 2s, 2 attack 1s, 2 defends, 2 moves, and 2 attack 2s. But they'll get their own unique arrangement of very specific character cards, which you can obviously see with the character illustration. And they are 3 varieties, 2 of each type, and that becomes your starting maneuver deck. Obviously, at the beginning of the game, you would shuffle this up, and we will in a second. This is your board. Each board has 2 free actions. Everyone has theirs are different. If we were to bring up Elke has a completely different arrangement. She's got they both have shield tokens, but he gets a heavy token at the cost of escalation. She gets 2 light tokens. So his is slightly more powerful, but it comes with a sacrifice. We'll also notice when we compare them side by side, and we see the arrangement of skills. Now we're going to take a closer look here, and we see that he has 2 skills, awareness and agility. His speed is +2, his hand size is 4, action is 5, physical 4, and mental 3. And we look at Elke, and she's got agility, diplomacy, speed +2, hand 5, action 4, physical 3, mental 4. So what do these mean? Well, first is skills. We'll be explaining how ability checks work, because when you're attacking, defending, or doing a skill check, it's all uses the same skills. It's the same rules. And he is trained in awareness and agility. So if he does an awareness or agility check, he is trained, so he uses better dice. Anytime he spends power to move, he modifies that movement by +2. His hand size is 4, so when we draw cards, he gets 4 cards. His action allotment is 5, which means he gets 5 action tokens. These are temporary tokens. This is not what they're going to look like. And his ability is physical 4, so when he does a physical skill check or when defending, he uses 4 dice. And when doing a mental check, he uses 3 dice. These also determine the number of total cards you can have across the top, and also determines the number of actions you can put down across the bottom. So that's his arrangement. Now you also notice that he has 6 possible spots for actions. Now when we look at Elke, we can see she's got a speed +2, same as him. Her hand size is 5, so it's 1 higher. Her action is 1 less. Her physical is lower, but her mental is higher. But she also has more tokens. Now in this game, we'll discover if you don't use tokens, you can save them and bank them. Yoshi can't bank very much, but she can bank a lot more. So she can plan and kind of build up her strength for a much greater attack. Well, Yoshi doesn't have that ability. Okay, so we're going to move that aside. We'll take Elke aside, and we'll talk about combat in a second. But this is basically the setup for Yoshi, and this is the setup for Sato. We'll see Sato's arrangement right here. He's similar to Elke in the fact that he has 7 possible spots. Action 4, physical 5, mental 3, so he's obviously stronger. His speed is +1 because he's slower, but he also has might as a skill. And you can see here, he can actually do a lot of, he's very much combat based, not the smartest person in the world, but he is, he gets a heavy token or 2 light tokens. So he's a very, very tough hombre in combat. And then that's basically, that's his arrangement right there. And then we have the board. Now, the map, or actually the comic here, will tell us exactly where we're supposed to place our group mini. And in this one, it's F3. So in this specific one, we actually get to have combat before, but we're just going to explain how most of the ones will play off. And it says place your starting meeple on F3. So we're going to do that and place our meeple on F3. We hope to get that replaced as a miniature as well. Then it'll tell you how to make your story deck. And the story deck is actually a random assortment, not really random, but it tells you which ones to insert, and the ones you select are random, between clear and story cards. Now in the case of this one, it's actually 5 and 5. So you would actually get 5 of these clear cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're all the same. Right? Simple as that. And then 5 of these story cards. Now obviously this deck has got a lot of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You shouldn't be actually looking at what they are, but whatever. And we're going to be shuffling that into this. And that forms our story deck. So that's the story deck, and it gets placed on the side there. And so we can tell our story. These will not be used anymore, so they can be removed. The location and camps, well, they get to be placed beside that story deck. And we can see that arrangement there. As we tell the story, we'll be drawing these cards and laying them across this board. And then on occasion, we get to place a location or a camp as well. And that is basically it. We don't know which enemies we're going to be fighting, so we can't place them out. We can't place any meeples. We can't deploy a combat map because we haven't figured out that we haven't been told what battle we're going to be encountering yet. And that's basically the setup of Brothers Bond.